When I was filling out the application for the Wendy's High School Heisman Award, I didn't really know that much would come.
It's teamwork. You communicate with...
What that involves is making sure I communicate and coordinate with each of the guidance departments.
We're building a ramp for someone who really
Don't
can't
give up just because it's hard, because I had a lot of times where I thought I wasn't going to make it.
Hi, welcome to Hometown Heroes on Pack 14. I'm your host, Andy Kitzrow. Today joining me at Y High is Jenna Dameus. Welcome, Jenna.
Hi.
So Jenna, tell us a little bit about yourself and what grade you are here at Y High.
Hi, my name is Jenna Dameus. I am a sophomore at Wicomico High School in Wicomico County in Salisbury, Maryland.
Great. So the reason why we're here, Jenna, is you recently this spring participated in the Youth Congress Day. I think it was the second annual. Tell me about what the Youth Congress Day is and then, what that experience was like.
So Youth Congress Day was kind of a way for students and hometown people and people from all around the county of the Little Peninsula of Maryland. We got all together and we kind of imitated what an actual Congress Council meeting would look like.
So everybody got to serve in different capacities in Congress and do that. Had you ever done much with Congress before?
No, basically I've only heard of Congress in government class. So the opportunity was really nice for me.
So you mentioned that it was more than just Wicomico County students. So you got to spend it with a whole bunch of other sophomores, juniors, seniors. Who was part of this group?
So like Worcester, Somerset, and so on and so forth. All pretty close counties, but people from everywhere.
Did you guys get to decide what topics you discussed, or was it kind of a set?
They kind of gave us like a script, and they gave us a handout, and they gave us a walkthrough, a walkway, sort of like they gave us a bill like you would get in a real Congress, and we just looked over that and read over through there.
What'd you learn from that experience?
Well, one thing I learned is passing bills is not as easy as just a check, a veto, and it's actually kind of difficult, and there's a lot of different ways. You have to really be strategic about it and think outside the box and think deeper than just this is good or this is bad. Yeah, it's interesting.
I know Congress gets a bad rap sometimes, Maryland and then the federal Congress. But it is, I think there's a lot of pieces to it, especially if you have two legislative bodies, the House bills and Senate bills. You have to go through both, and everybody wants a little piece. So there's this compromise that has to happen at some point.
And there's the back and forth and I didn't realize this and I didn't realize that. It's just, I don't know, I found it interesting. I learned a lot from it.
Did you get to decide what side of the argument you wanted to be on?
Mm-hmm. So after we went to our separate little groups and we asked these sought out questions that would really help you decide whether the bill is worth passing or not. After that, we all took a vote at the end, and majority rules, so I forgot what the outcome was. I believe we did pass the bill.
So unfortunately I heard that this was also like a virtual conference. So tell me about what it's been like being virtual through most of this past school year.
The school year virtually, at first I absolutely hated it. It's the worst thing ever. Woke up, turned around, logged into my laptop. And then as time and time progressed and I realized, okay, this is gonna have to be something I actually have to do. You kind of have to, it becomes a new norm. You get up, you shower, you get dressed, and you go to school in your room. I mean, it's weird, but you get used to it.
Do you think you'll continue to participate in the Congress Day moving forward?
I definitely will. I plan on doing so next year, because hopefully next year we'll be in person and we'll have that experience, the face-to-face, the round table, the little coffee and snacks and drinks. I mean, virtually it was nice, but we know it could have been 10 times better in person.
So leading into this school year, you start off remotely and things are looking better. And then, did you always think you're going to be part of this Congress Day, or is it something that teacher approached you with?
So basically, I'm in this program called Next Generation Honor Scholars, maybe Maryland Business Roundtable, MBRT. So they kind of opened the doors to us. They're like, hey, you guys, let's do this thing. It's a good opportunity for you guys. You might learn things. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to, but we suggest that you do. My coordinator got me up, Mr. Tashi Williams. He got me up with the people there, and I just participated. It was really nice.
Tell me a little bit more about this Next Generation program.
We are basically, well, I'm an ambassador for Wicomico County, so it's basically a bunch of counties on the peninsula. We come together, we meet every other Wednesday and talk about things that we find passionate about, or we, try to do things to prepare us for the future, like college ready and high school ready and SAT ready and prep ready and work ready. It's basically just a way for students, usually lower class students, to have another foot in the door to succeed.
So that's exciting. What would you have learned or gained from this experience being part of this last year?
During a regular school year, we would go on trips to different colleges and visit different places and get speeches and stuff from people that we usually wouldn't from a regular school day or something. So that's one thing that I really enjoyed, the college experience and the college trips. That helped me a lot to realize this is actually what I want to do.
Yeah, I wanted to jump into that. You probably weren't 100% sure what you wanted to do when someone asked you to be part of that, and now you've gone through it. So what are the next steps? It sounds like college is definitely something you want to do. What else has this experience kind of guided you to? You got 2 more years of high school. Hopefully we're all in person. So what else is next for you?
So basically, after all the meetings and visits, I realized I do want to go into the medical field. After seeing after talking to a real surgeon and talking to a real orthodontist, it's one of the 2 things. I know skin grafts are really fun. Apparently you get a new story every day. It's so interesting to me now. Now it is, at least. So that's one thing I did. I learned my next career path.
So why do you think it's important for these programs like Next Generation and then these opportunities like Youth Congress? Why is that important to have those experiences available to high school students?
Well, there's a few reasons why I think it's important. One being that we wouldn't usually have these opportunities. Everyday life, going to school, going to home, going to school, going home, you kind of get stuck in the mix of it and you don't really learn anything new, you don't really get any new experiences. It's bound to be wasted potential than something that could be great. So with these little nicks and nannies, it might not seem like a lot, but they definitely make a big impact on each and every one of us.
Yeah, I know kind of the school experience outside the classroom, all the extracurricular opportunities that you have, whether it's leadership development, which is kind of what you're doing here in the Next Generation program in the Congress, or just being exposed to information or opportunities. And then also the fun extracurriculars, whether it's band or sports. But I hear you're quite the track athlete, so let's switch focuses over to track and field. What has it been like freshman and sophomore year having this reduced, shrunk down sports season?
Well, freshman year, I joined indoor track. I was like, oh, this is just something to get me back in shape, and it was fun. I absolutely loved it. Freshman spring, I did lacrosse actually, but then our season was cut short, so I was just like, okay, well, maybe lacrosse wasn't for me. Maybe that was a sign that's telling me don't play lacrosse. So then this year coming into it, we had a little bit of fall sports, which I cheered for. That was, short, well-lived. And then indoor track was cut, so I was like, let's just do outdoor track. And this season it's been fun. It's been short, it's almost up, but so far so great.
So Jenna, you have a track meet that's coming up. Do you have any certain favorite races, or what do you actually participate in, and what do you look forward to?
I run the 200, the 4x1, sometimes the 4x2, sometimes the long jump, sometimes the triple jump, sometimes the 100. But my favorite is the 200 meter dash.
So talking about sports and things getting cut and things changing pretty quickly, how does that, as an athlete or somebody who wants to be active after school and understanding the impact on sports on just, everyday high school student who lives for that opportunity, what's it like, as you think about having that disrupted?
It's disappointing. It's upsetting, but, gotta pursue, gotta persevere. One thing I just feel, it's especially hurtful for the older students, the ones who didn't get to have their 4 years, didn't, get to use this sports, use their athletic ability to get them further in life. That's one thing that's really draining.
Yeah, that's got to be tough for those. You still got your junior and senior year ahead of you, so knock on wood, none of this stuff.
Kind of got a little lucky with the timing, a little lucky with the timing.
Right. So thinking about just getting involved overall as kind of a student, why is it important to get involved as a high schooler and not just do the day-to-day, come to school, go home, come to school, but try to bridge out to these after hours activities and evening activities. Why is that important?
So getting involved it gives you a step to the door, it gives you more motivation. You know, like for sports, you have to have a certain GPA, and you have to have a certain no referrals, a certain number of absences. So with the sports and with the extracurricular activities, with SGA and book club and math club and track, lacrosse, cheer, you have to have that, you know, you have to be a good student. So not only does it push you, but it makes you become that student.
Yeah, having those standards helps keep people on track. And you know, this is the fun part of it, but the academics is kind of why we're here. Thinking about, you know, you've got 2 years under your belt, you got 2 more years. You mentioned you already kind of know what your goals are, maybe going into the medical field. What other high school goals or goals do you think you have over the next couple of years, things you want to accomplish?
So currently I am the SGA's vice president. So I do want to continue with that, student government. I do want to continue with that for the next 2 years of my high school career. I plan on becoming my goal is to become a executive president or just my senior class president. That's another big thing I'm interested in. I plan to continue to be an ambassador for Next Generation for the next 2 years. And I plan to continue running track, of course. Running track is a big one.
So it's interesting, most people, well some people, but not a lot, go through high school being like, I want to be a politician, but you're already, I mean, class president, VP, you know, member of Next Generation and Youth Congress. You may have a political future if you want
Yeah,
it.
I've been thinking about
Maybe
that.
be a doctor for a few years and
And then switch over, maybe become a governor. I don't know, a mayor seems pretty in my reach.
So just thinking about, you know, you serve your school, your student body as vice president of the SGA. You have served kind of your local larger community by participating in Next Generation and gathering ideas and helping move some, I guess, conversations forward. And then, you know, you're helping the track team. Why is it important to kind of serve and give back, just in general?
Well, only because I think of it like, this is something that I would want someone to do for me. I would want someone to speak up for me. I would want someone to put my ideas out there. I would want someone to run with me. I want someone to be my friend, basically. So I feel as though, you know, the golden rule, treat people how you want to be treated, that I follow that truly. And also because, you know, if I don't do it, who will?
Along this path, has there been any mentors in your life who, a coach or a teacher or an advisor, somebody that's helped kind of push you through these first earlier stages in your high school, even young adult life that have helped you, keep you kind of moving forward?
Well, one person, first person, Tashi Williams. He's not here. But Mr. Tashi Williams, he's the one who he brought me into the program. He brought me into Youth Congress Day. He's always on me. He's always telling me, hey, make sure check up your grades, make sure this is good, make sure that is good. Okay, do this, do that, do that. You know, emailing me, checking in on me. He's a great person. He's my coordinator. Shout out. Next person would be my mama. She is literally, she's my mama. You know, she's always telling me to do better. She's whenever, you know, something's wrong, she fixes it. So it's another person. Another person would be my siblings. I have 2 siblings, my brother and my sister. My brother, he brought me into SGA. He was telling me it's not like, when you hear student government, you think like, ooh, student government. But it's more than that. It's more than just politics. It's helping the school. It's helping the community. And then my sister, Jessica, she brought me into sports. She was just like, hey, you know, we have athlete's blood. Just do it. So I think those 4 people are big parts. And my dad, of course. I love him. But.
Great. Well, older brother. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So was he still in high school right now? Yeah. So thinking about that role transition when he leaves, and then you become that upperclassman, and then you get to be the kind of the mentor or play that big role to the other people. Understanding when you have that transition, people are going to be looking up to you, and if they're not already looking up to you. Tell me about how that kind of makes you feel, being this role model or this person people are going to be looking up to, or probably already looking up to.
I don't know. It feels like a lot of weight on my shoulders. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how my sister does it. I don't know how my mama does it. I feel like I think when the time comes, I'll be prepared to, you know, be someone people can look up to, be someone people can be inspired by. But for right now, I think I gotta prepare a little bit more, you know.
Yeah, take your time. There's no reason to rush to get older. Take on responsibility.
Thank you.
So Jenna, thinking about what you're all involved in school, and then the extracurriculars and the academics. We haven't really talked about academics and the focus, but we are here at school and understanding that that's most important. Why is it important for students to not only focus on and participate in extracurriculars, but to truly want to get a good education and excel in the classroom just as much outside?
So basically what my Next Generation program taught me is that academics and your grades and your scores and your test scores, they do matter. Like it's not just letters on paper. There's meaning behind it. So I strive to get better grades and better test scores and straight A's, 4.0. I do that because I want a bright future. I feel as though that's one great way to push yourself forward, to give yourself that extra lift. And then extracurriculars. Well, I do it because I don't like being bored. I don't like not doing anything with my life. I like being active. I like having something to do. I like being busy. So that's another good way to stay out of trouble, do extracurriculars instead.
So closing thoughts. If roles reversed, I'm you, you're your brother. Hi, why should I get involved in SGA, or why should I get involved in student government or class presidency? Why is that important too?
It's fun. It's important because it's fun. 2, because it's new, it's something different, something that you're not used to. And 3, because you're helping your student body. In SGA, we speak for the students. We speak for those who are not spoken for. So if we want a purple prom theme, we let it be known that we want a purple prom theme. It's something that, you should just get involved in. 1, to try it out, and 2, to be a bigger voice, to have a bigger voice.
It's really important. One of the reasons why we do this show is to really capture the youth voice, to really allow people to hear what you have to say and why it's important. So how do we as a community really focus on the youth voice and make sure the only people you're talking to aren't the classmates or the teachers, but the larger community? How do you get the attention of the mayor? How do you get attention of our governor? How does we make the youth voice a bigger piece of the conversation and dialogue?
Well, I feel like this meeting, this interview is a great start. I think this is actually a great example of the way Youth Congress Day taught us we can write letters, we can come to those Board of Education meetings, we can do more than what meets the eye. I feel like just getting it known that we have the power to use our voices is just one of the major things.
So Maryland Business Roundtable, MBRT, that's more than a 1-year commitment, or you can make it multiple years. You're in your sophomore year, you can do it junior, senior year, and you plan to?
So I was into the program my freshman year, but I didn't become ambassador until this year. Well, until the beginning or the end of last year, I'm not entirely too sure. The quarantine and my months get all mixed up. But the program, it lasts as long as you need it to. I plan on continuing with it. My 4 years of high school, 2 more years ahead then. I plan on sticking with the ambassador role, and yeah, so when I become a senior and when it's time for me to graduate, they will bring in some new freshmen and we'll, introduce and exchange and train and, pass the baton, basically.
Jenna, it's been a pleasure talking with you today here at Y High. I wish you the best of luck with your next coming years and your upcoming track meets.
Thank you. There's one today.
Yeah, we'll go. Joining me now here at Y High is Principal Mr. Ron Green. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
So why don't you first, let's give us a little background, how long you have been in the administration here at Y High.
This is my 5th year at Y High as an administrator. I spent 3 years as an assistant principal, and this is my 2nd full year as principal. But my teaching career in Wicomico County actually started here at Y High in 2001, and I was a history teacher for 5 years.
Okay, so you got a lot of roots here at Y High. So the reason we have you here is we were able to talk with Miss Jenna earlier about some of the great things she's been doing representing Y High, not only around the track, but also in the Lower Shore, participating in the Youth Congress Day. So what I'd like to talk to you about is, why is it important to have these extracurricular activities outside the classroom that your students can participate in?
Well, I think it's important for several reasons, in particular during this pandemic that we've been through, because it gives them sort of like a sense of normalcy, things that they would normally do if they were in school. But as far as being involved in extracurricular activities, I think it's important because it gives them, especially something like the Congress Day, gives them an experience that they could use once they graduate. And once they enter high school, it's important for them to have these experiences, because the ultimate goal is for them to go on and become productive adults and citizens, and these are opportunities for them to see and do things they might otherwise not get a chance to do.
You mentioned that you've been in the principal for the last 2 years, and Jenna has also been a student here for the last 2 years. You guys share a unique experience of your first year ended in a pandemic. Year 2 was basically a full pandemic. Tell me about what it's been like being that new principal, trying to navigate this.
Well, obviously, being a principal, there comes a lot of duties and responsibilities, and it's difficult making that transition. And it's, you know, schools in general are an important part of young people's lives, and we have a connection to them in so many different ways, activities and education, which is so important. So when you're trying to learn all those things as a new principal, it's tough enough when you're in person and people are here and, you know, they're able to support you face to face. And even though I was getting all that support, it's just different when it has to be online and you're doing things on the phone and on the computers. So for her and it's been difficult, because I know for me, I started getting sort of like a little bit of comfortable, started feeling a little comfortable, which I'm sure as a freshman, you know, in March, you're starting to feel a little more comfortable in the school, you know your way around, you're starting to know your teachers better, your fellow peers better, and things of that nature. And then in March, everything kind of shut down. So for me, I tell people all the time that I actually felt like, and I remember specifically in March, where I started getting my feet under me and feeling like I really was getting a handle on things. And then schools were shut down, and so then everything changed. So everything I was doing, just like a student in the 9th grade, like Jenna, things had to be, they became different, and things, you had to look at things in a different way, you had to attack things in a different way, and you had to do things in a different way. And we all, students and adults, admin, teachers, we all lost out on a piece of the year that, you know, that we all enjoy, especially end of the year, bringing everything together, the culmination of everything that we do. And it's just a fun time of year, and we kind of lost out on that last year.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, we talked about, you and Jenna kind of were just starting off that piece, but then those seniors on the flip end, on the flip side, who, you know, play those spring sports and those graduations and those proms, when all of that, just things they might have been looking forward to for the last 4 years as a student athlete, or just as a rising senior who really are excited about those pieces. You know, it's got to be heartbreaking for them. And then, you know, how was that? Just having to be that person and decision maker. You know, it wasn't 100% your decision, but just seeing, you know, like those decisions had to be made.
Yeah, obviously it was tough, because all those parts of or activities that these students participate in are crucial to their high school experience. And it doesn't matter if you miss 1 or you miss 10, it's still something that you're not getting. And even it doesn't matter if you're a freshman or if you're a senior, there's things that freshmen missed out on, just like there were things that seniors missed out on. And to me, that was the hardest part, to see them not be able to experience certain things that I know are really important to them, i.e. prom and graduation, to not have the full experience. Because let's be honest, most people, when they start their freshman year, believe it or not, that's what they're already looking forward to, those things. And by not being able to do that, it was really hard and heartbreaking. I know Wicomico County did the best they could in attempting to make things as normal as possible and do what they could. For instance, the graduation ceremony last year, we did the best we could with what we had and following CDC guidelines. So I know everybody worked really, really hard to give these seniors the best opportunity and the opportunity to do the things that they normally would as best we could. And then unfortunately with some of the underclassmen, they missed out on it as well. So they didn't finish their freshman year like a normal freshman would, and then they start their sophomore year like Jenna and miss out on some of the highlights of a regular school year, like athletics, fall athletics, and in the fall you have homecoming and things of that nature that all high school students still look forward to. So she missed out on it. So, and then I missed out on it too, not being the person that was responsible for it. And I only got a little bit of a taste of it. So this year wasn't really, to me, the full taste of everything. So I missed out on some things. So next year will be almost like year 3, but it'll almost be like year 1 again. So it'll be interesting, and it'll be a lot more enjoyable, I think, next year when everything's back to normal.
And speaking of back to normal, we see a glimmer of normalcy a little bit right now. What does graduation look like this year?
So obviously graduation is Saturday, June 12th at the Shorebird Stadium. So that right there is something that I don't think the county we've ever had to contend with. So it's an outdoor venue, whether it's the heat or the rain or whatever we're contending with, we're contending with it. The facilities are much different. We get in a rhythm, we get in a pattern, and we understand how things are supposed to flow. I just came out of a meeting. We're trying to do our last minute details of graduation. And the thing about it is, not only am I new and not really having to experience what a true graduation is like, it's at a different venue. So we're looking at things like all the different things that go along with it. So we're trying to make those plans, and we're still trying to keep people safe and still trying to follow the guidelines that have been established by the CDC or the governor when we have that event. Now things are opening up a little bit, and it's going to be a lot better than I think even than we thought it would be when we first started planning this, because obviously graduation, you start planning graduation months ago. And so in the beginning, we still were following the CDC guidelines strictly, but now it's loosened up. So now we're able to loosen up a little bit. So it's going to be probably as close to normal as possible, with the exception of it being outside as opposed to inside at the Civic Center.
I think we're going to get lucky with the weather this week. It's supposed to be a little bit cooler, but
Fingers crossed.
Right. Is it a Y High only graduation, or is it going to be a shared graduation with several high schools? I don't even know.
So typically in Wicomico County, all the schools have the graduation. One school will have it on a Friday night, and then the other 3 high schools will have it on Saturday. So Mardella's will take place on Friday night. Parkside's will be Saturday morning. They'll clear out. Y High will come in. We'll have ours at 2:30. We'll clear out, and then James and Bennett will come in later that evening and have theirs. So they're pretty much back to back to back.
So the last question I have for you is, Jenna mentioned, she navigated this, but all of her peers navigated it, and kind of leaning on each other. Have you had an opportunity to kind of lean on your other colleagues and coworkers, your other principals or administrators, and just like, what are you doing? How are we doing this? This is crazy. We haven't done this before.
Yeah, I actually have, and I've had a really good support group. People that I can touch base with on a regular basis. There are several principals, especially at the high school level. We're constantly emailing one another. We have a text group that we constantly are sending messages back to one another, asking questions, getting advice and things of that nature. And then Mr. Brady, Don Brady, who's the director of secondary ed, he was the principal at Y High. I took over for him when he got his promotion. He's been a great resource in terms of, he knows the school. He was here for 9 years. He's always easily accessible. He answers all my questions. He gives me advice. So I mean, I've really been lucky, and I think actually the pandemic has actually brought the high school principals closer to one another. We've always known each other, and for the most part, we've worked with each other in some capacity, whether it was teaching together or being in administration together. So, but I do think the pandemic has brought us closer and allowed us to reach out to one another and for guidance and support. So it's really been nice. I don't know, really, it would have been a lot more difficult without the other principals in the county, the high school principals, pretty much.
Well, that's just, so my part 2 of my final question. What do you think, like you guys have been all brought together, but what have not only the administration, the faculty learned through this pandemic process, but maybe insight to what do you think the students have learned about themselves or about the whole process? Their resilience or their
Well, it's funny you should mention that, because, for graduation, I have to give a speech. And as I begin to think about that, that's primarily my focus, is about what we've learned, what everybody has learned, and what everybody has taken away. And I'm trying to stick to the positives. Yes, these seniors and these kids have lost a lot, but they've also gained a lot. And some of the things that I talk about are the things that they've learned in terms of technology. It doesn't matter that, a lot of these kids are constantly on their phones or constantly on computers, gaming and those types of things. They've learned other valuable things that are going to help them post high school in terms of technology. I talk about their perseverance and their resiliency, things that they've learned, or the inner side of them they've learned that they'll be able to carry on, because it hasn't been easy. It's been really difficult. And some of these students have still carried on. A student like Jenna, other students who have just been determined and resilient and persevere through this to maintain a high level of academics, just like they've never been outside of school. And I know Jenna has remained virtual through this whole thing, and some people use that as I shouldn't say an excuse, but as a reason why maybe they've not done as well. She's a student who still kept going, kept working, kept achieving, kept striving to do the best that she can, and she has a wonderful GPA, and she's a really smart student. Actually, she has a brother who's graduating on Saturday, who is the class president who has done a wonderful job. He's maintained a high GPA. So they've learned a lot about themselves, which I think that after graduation and through the next 3 years of high school or 2 years for Jenna, that she can use to make herself better, or things that she can use post high school.
Well, Ron, thank you so much for joining us today and spending a couple minutes. And congratulations on year 2, and good luck with graduation. And hopefully, it stays sunny so everybody stays dry.
Thank you.
If you'd like to nominate a hometown hero to be featured, please contact George Whitehead at giwhitehead@salisbury.edu or call 410-749-1480.
You too could be a hometown hero.
So thank you for watching Hometown Heroes here on PAC 14. I'm your host, Andy Kitzrow, and we'll see you next time.